How's it going, everyone? My name is DrapPep. Welcome back to another installment of this series. My dad used to have a 57 Chevy. It was a Black Widow, is what he's told me. So it was a 57 Chevy Black Widow. I don't try to come off as someone who knows a lot about cars, but his car was cool. All right, you don't understand. His car was really cool. And there's one memory that stands out among a lot of memories with that car, but there's one that stands out the most. My friends did this thing where it was like, whose dad is cooler? And we would all, wait for our dads to pick us up from school, and we would just sit there. Like, oh yeah, well my dad could lift such and such amount of weight. It's like, oh yeah, my dad's in construction. I didn't really know a lot about my dad, but one thing I did know is that he had a really, really cool car. So one day, I knew there was a car show coming up, and I knew that my dad was going to enter his car into the car show so that he could win a prize, a reward. And he did. He got a trophy. He got the best car on the lot. I mean, it was a nice car. That thing was red, like cherry red, and on the inside it had like black leather with like checkerboard on the doors. It was cool. It was a really cool car. Um, was the worst at starting though. Like whenever that car needed to get started, sometimes we had to give it a little push. we had to get that thing going by giving a little shove down the road, and then it'll get going. Sometimes it needed more than just a shove, and it required my dad to get out of the driver's seat to push with us so that we get some real movement going, and then it would go. I remember so many times my mom and sister, we get stressed out because it was us that had to get in the back to start the car. We had to give it a little Flintstone push, you know what I mean? I was almost convinced that we had to start putting holes in the floor so that we could start using our feet to get some acceleration. Luckily, the brakes worked because that would have sucked. All right, everyone, put your feet down. We gotta stop the car. But no, that was like the only drawback was that car. Sometimes we had to give it a little push start, a little push go. But I knew that this particular day that my dad was going to go to the car show. I asked him. I said, "Dear Papa," that's how I talked to my dad back then. "Dear Papa, please, could you pick me up with the car?" My dad was like, "You want me to pick you up from school? You want to go to the car show?" Not really. No. But I wanted to show that my dad was cooler than everyone else's. So I said, yeah. Now, my dad, he worked on his own cars. So a lot of times he'd have, broken nails and oil all over his arms. And he would have, like, the torn sleeve shirts. And so he had just got done fixing up the car for the car show. So at the time, I think he did have long hair, and he showed up with the cut off sleeve shirt, and he shows up in the 57 Chevy to pick me up because we're going to the car show. And there's all these other dads. They got their minivans, they've got their a few Toyotas, and they're picking up their kids. And here's my dad pick me up in a 57 Chevy, the one car that stood out the most. There were teachers that were stopped what they were doing to look at the car. There were other drivers that were picking up their kids who were like leaning out the window to get a better look. And my dad, he didn't have a functioning horn on that car. So the only way he could get my attention was by revving the engine, which made it even cooler. Here's my dad. He's all gruffed up from working on the car, revving a 57 Chevy in the parking lot to get my attention. And everyone was just like, whose dad is that? That's my dad. And I got up and I went into, I said it just like that too, that pitch and everything. That's my dad. Like yeah. No, but like, I got into the car and I looked at him. So what'd be really cool is if you like peeled out of here. He goes, "Oh, I could do that." And I'm like, "Really?" He goes, yeah. And so he revs the engine, and then it just out of nowhere, he just starts peeling the tires, and he took off. Which, of course, he was not allowed to do. You're not allowed to do that. But he did it. He had fun. Nobody complained. Nobody nobody said a thing. There were a few times where there were like, a police officer would come up alongside him. My dad was like, "Oh, here we go, getting a ticket," and the police officers would just be like, "Hey, uh, could you rev your engine for us? We want to hear how loud it can get." My dad would be like, "Really?" It's like, "Yeah, rev the engine." I think that's kind of like a car guy thing. I think when they see something that looks really cool, they kind of want to hear how it sounds or watch what it can do. And I think that's kind of cool because when you go to the car show, you see that a lot. You see a lot of those classics, and you see a lot of them are kind of egging each other on, right? Like, oh, come on, rev the engine. That's kind of like a common thing at these shows. I go to a lot of car shows still with my dad. There's all kinds of car shows that'll come up, and then he gets excited for me to go because he likes when I record those shows, because I kind of, I add my own music, but at the same time I record the same cars that he's looking at, and so he kind of enjoys rewatching those videos to see what it is that I've recorded. And when I was a kid, I even like took cameras with me, like disposable cameras, and it was kind of like a hobby for me to take pictures of all of the cars. Now, the car show that we went to the most was the Garden Grove Cruise, which was like a big event. In fact, Hugh Hauser went there. If you don't know who Hugh Hauser is, you might want to. He's a really cool person. He did like this thing. I think it was called Touring California or Exploring California. But Hugh Hauser used to have this show where he would show off where everything is in California. And I remember him going to the Garden Grove Cruise. And I was so excited to see him. I was like, that's Hugh Hauser. I was a kid. I was really into him. And, we ran up to him. I was like, you're Hugh Hauser. And he's like, well, hi there. Are you a part of this? I'm like, no. And he just turned around and walked away. And we're like, all right. I guess that's as far as that goes. But it was cool. It was a cool show. And I really liked him. And he said hi to us for a couple of seconds, then walked away. He wandered away like a Roomba. I remember one thing about the going to that car show is that there was this pizza restaurant, and they had like a little tiny arcade, and they had a WWE arcade machine, which was my favorite, and they had a South Park pinball machine, and that was my favorite too. And at the end of the car show, it was tradition because we went there a lot. It was like this repeating thing that would always happen. And at the end of the car show, we would go to the into the pizza place, the pizza restaurants. I don't remember the name of it, but they would go there and we would order pizza, and I would go play on the arcade machines. And that was just kind of like a regular thing for me. And then towards the back, oh, I just now remembered this. Towards the back of the parking lot, there was a McDonald's. And inside that McDonald's was N64. They had this station, it had four controllers for four screens. And each one of them had a different N64 game. And so sometimes, when we would first get there, I would go over there to get some fries, play the N64 for a little bit, go take pictures of all the cars with my disposable camera because my dad really liked seeing all the photos I was taking. He liked looking back at these photos I would take at the car shows. And then at the end of it, we would get pizza. And that was kind of a tradition that for a really, really long time when we were going to the car show in Garden Grove. I have no idea if they still do that car show, to be honest. I miss it. I miss going to it. But I just love that that's how I got into car shows, was taking photos with a disposable camera. And here I am several years later, and now instead of taking photos, I'm videoing it. I'm still doing it. That tradition has never died. I'm still going to the car shows with my dad. I'm still recording cars for my dad to look at. I'm still sometimes we still get pizza. Sure, it's maybe not the same restaurant as it used to be in Garden Grove. A lot of times though, we have a new place. Now we go to this place called Mad Madeline, and they have the best burgers. I love their burgers, and that's our new tradition. We go to the car show, then we go to Mad Madeline's. That's our new thing. But I don't know. I will never forget that feeling of my dad showing up to the school in the '57 Chevy, revving the engine. And everyone's like, "Whose dad is that?" I will never forget that. That's a cherished and fond memory of mine. But that's gonna be it for this installment. I hope everyone enjoyed tuning in, and I'll see all of you next time.